Initiating moisture.
Today at the Moist Meter headquarters, we've received a specimen of pure dryness, pure filth. Truly, just a polluted, contaminated pustule of shit called Wish Upon. But nonetheless, it is our duty here at Moist Meter Laboratories to analyze the moisture content of this absolute fuckball. So Wish Upon is supposed to be a horror movie. It's not even close to a horror movie. It doesn't try to be scary at any points. And it is without a doubt the worst movie I've seen in theaters of 2017. So the story is nothing new. A girl finds a cursed Chinese wishing box, basically just a fucking elaborate looking fortune cookie. And it can grant wishes up to 7. And after the 7th wish, the person dies. And the catch is, every wish you make will come through, but someone close to you will die as a result. And the wishes the main character makes are the worst fucking wishes in the world. It's like something a 4-year-old would be wishing for. Oh, I wish for infinite chocolate. I wish for a big bounce house made of chocolate. I wish mommy and daddy had chocolate for me all the time. The main character's wishes here were just fucking awful. They suck dick farts. She wished she was popular. She wished the good-looking guy would fall for her. Then after she learned that, when she makes these wishes, someone close to her dies, she still went ahead and made awful wishes from that point forward. It's just so dumb. And it's supposed to be like this Final Destination type of thing where it keeps you guessing on who's gonna die and how. But the deaths were so underwhelming and uninspired, they were just comedic. People in the theater were busting up laughing at every single death because they were done so poorly. There was no surprises, there was no suspense, you knew who it was going to be. There was just nothing, it had nothing going for it. It wasn't scary, it wasn't shocking, it wasn't interesting. It was just so incredibly boring and frustrating to sit through. I would have been having a better time if I was fucking vacuuming up an overflowing Walmart toilet with my asshole. It was just a fucking torturous experience to sit through. There was nothing good for this movie. The best thing I can say about it, the only good thing I can say about it is the wishing box looked cool. That's it. They made a cool little children's toy wishing box. It looked nice. All the characters fucking sucked as well, especially the main love interest. His dialogue must have been written by some type of head executive that just Urban Dictionary'd cool words kids are using these days. Because all that fucking loser did was say dope and say stupid ass lines that are not cool or natural in any context. One of his lines verbatim is right before going in for a kiss. He says, "I'm trying to think of something dope to say," and then pauses for a couple of seconds and said, "I couldn't think of anything dope." His Shakespearean dialogue also shines again a little bit later in the movie where he says, "Don't worry, haters gonna hate." All of this said unironically. It's just amazing how out of touch this movie is with whatever the fuck it was trying to do. Let's just go ahead and let's measure the moisture content here, or lack thereof. On the moist meter, I'm giving this a 10%. Now, I know that seems a bit high, and it certainly is, but I feel that since the movie was complete, it had a beginning, middle, and kind of an end. The ending was so fucking stupid, yet people were praising it on how shocking it was. Spoiler alert, it's not fucking shocking. If they tell you that after the 7th wish the main character is gonna die, it's not exactly shocking when after the 7th wish the main character dies, you fucking troglodytes that think that's somehow surprising. But the reason I'm giving it a 10%, back to the point, is at least it was complete and delivered an experience to theaters, albeit a very negative one. I feel like the proceeds for every ticket sold to this movie, all of that money should at least go to some type of homeless shelter or something, just so that way something good comes out of this movie's creation, because there's no entertainment to be derived here. It's not so bad it's good. It's such a chore to sit through. It's a fucking spiked baseball bat going in your urethra for an hour and a half. But yeah, anyway, that's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Moist meter, Jigsaw. Those are two different words with two very different meanings. But today they'll collide in the Thunderdome when I analyze the moisture content of the new Jigsaw movie. This is the first new Saw movie in 7 years after the series started to fall apart and become this fermenting shit stain on the movie industry. Used to have yearly releases of Saw, kind of like Call of Duty, with about the same amount of quality, and they decided to take a 7-year hiatus. But have they learned anything with this new entry? Not really. It's pretty underwhelming. So the biggest problem is it's full of plot holes. There's plot holes out the asshole in this movie. Also, you just have to accept that Jigsaw is omniscient. He knows everything. He's like Santa Claus. He's made a list. He checks it twice. He knows who's naughty or nice. He knows everything you've done. He knows every time you've jerked off. He knows where you've hid your cum. He knows it all, and he'll use it against you. It's kind of reaching with how much knowledge he has. It's pretty unrealistic. But I guess the series doesn't really go for something super realistic, which is excusable. Another major complaint I have about this movie is it's the same one I had about the new Death Note movie. Everyone is like a balloon of meat that's just one small inconvenience away from popping in a gory explosion. If somebody accidentally gets a toothpick in their hand, their whole hand's coming right the fuck off. It's just laughable at points, especially at one scene in the movie where two cars collide and the second there's an impact, they both explode in an extravagant explosion like someone dropped a fucking nuke on them. It's just laughable. I'd already mentioned the plot holes, and I need to re-mention that because there's a lot of fucking plot holes here. And the story, it's pretty decent, actually. I think the story itself is pretty interesting, and the twists at the end are not bad. Some of them you can kind of see coming, but it leaves so many questions that you're just not going to get an answer to and just have to accept they forgot about it. And it's your answer. They just forgot, and they don't have an answer for you. The games are also pretty underwhelming. There's nothing too unique about the games. They've also toned down the gore a lot, for better or for worse, but the games are the biggest problem with it. It's just not very interesting. The games kind of fucking suck, in my opinion. There's also some bad CG that's thrown in there that'll immediately take you right out of it. And really, while I do think the plot is decent, it's nothing the Saw movies haven't done before. It's kind of a combined plot from two different Saw movies. I don't want to say which two because then you'll immediately guess what's going on in this movie, but it's nothing new. It's just done decently, but with a ton of fucking plot holes. I can't make that point enough. There is a lot of plot holes in this movie. Is it worth seeing? I don't know. If you're a fan of the Saw movies, you probably won't like this. If you don't like the Saw movies, but you like horror movies, and it's not really much of a horror movie, you might like this. I mean, there's really not a whole lot else to say, so I want to play a game where we analyze the moisture content of this movie by popping it in the state-of-the-art moist meter. It's a 30%. It's an alright movie. I think there's some redeeming qualities of it, and it definitely changes a little bit from the Saw series with the tone and the visuals, but nothing too exciting that's going to make you jump onto your seat and put pee-pee in your trousers while applauding the movie for doing something so new and great. It's an alright movie. It's a Saw movie. You get kind of what you expect, but a lot less of it. That's about it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Hello, Yoodle Toodle, and welcome to the Moist Meter. One of the biggest complaints I've seen in the comments over the course of the Moist Meter's history so far is the lack of background, the white walls making it seem like some type of fucking insane asylum, really lack of professionalism. So, I got this jumbo Asian man sticker as a gag gift for Christmas, and I thought, that looks like a pretty professional background. So, I was listening to you all in the comments, and now I'm saying you can hold my penis. There's your background right there. So today on the Moist Meeting chopping block is the new Insidious movie, Insidious the Last Key, or Insidious 4, or as I like to call it, Insidious Bore. It is a boring horror movie. If you have watched horror movies over the course of the last decade or so, we're going to go through the checklist of what makes them all bad, and Insidious has all of those shortcomings. Horrible plot that makes no sense, check. Bad characters, check. Bad writing, check. Bad dialogue, check. Characters that make the stupidest fucking decisions in every possible situation, check. Now here's where Insidious really starts to excel in these horrible areas. Soundtrack, sound effects. In the Insidious movie, anytime anything at all happens, it sounds like a fucking sack of potatoes gets dropped on a grand piano keyboard. It's obnoxious, check. Now let's branch off of the checklist again. This has some type of dumb, stupid fucking further. You're astral projecting yourself onto assholes. And they have superpowers here, and it's so fucking silly to watch. It's just silly. Downright fucking dumb to listen to. It's dumb to watch. By far the worst one. And I know a lot of people are going to fight me, oh, but Insidious is fucking great. It's groundbreaking. They really connected shit in practice. Up until the end, they did a decent job of teasing the like some type of fucking nuclear detonation, like a Kamehameha wave. He's gone. Then they also did this really loose tie-in where fucking silly. They're supposed to be the good guys here, and they just condemn this Dalton kid to, getting possessed. Voice meter. This is a 20%. It's really bad. Under no circumstances would I encourage anyone to see this, no matter how much you like the Insidious franchise. It's really bad. It was a big waste of time. it was kind of fun to hear the audience's reaction, only because there was one dude who every time there was tension building up, he'd just throw his hands up and go, "Oh, hell no." And that was fun. He made it fun. So I'm giving it a 20 because that guy made it fun. It's just not a good movie. It's really not. If you're a horror fan, you won't like it. If you're a fan of movies, you won't like it. If you enjoy anything that's even an iota of fun, you won't like it. It's just not a good movie. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Winchester, how moist is it? A question no one's asking, but a question I'm going to answer nonetheless. It's not very moist, it's real dry, it's a real bad movie. I didn't like pretty much anything about it. It was a bad movie, I really didn't enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, this follows the trend of all modern horror movies where it's inspired by actual events, inspired by a true story. This shit really happened in a marketing effort to make it scarier to the dumb people that would believe such a bullshit claim. Winchester says it's inspired by actual events, which of course is just filthy anus. Straight up, rotten, scummy anus. This movie is as inspired by actual events as I, Robot is inspired by the time I built a Gundam figurine when I was 6. The only facts this movie gets correct are the Winchester mansion existing and being a labyrinthian maze, and Sarah Winchester being the one who made it that way. Obviously not with her own bare fucking hands or anything, but she had people working on it around the clock. I'm not here to ass blast you with a history lesson here or analyze the Zapruder film on Sarah Winchester's mansion building. Do your own research, but spoiler alert, she didn't build it because of some type of ghost story or Pirates of the Caribbean curse or anything that this movie tries to convince you of. So just look up the real reason. It's a fascinating story. Let's get to the movie though. Only thing I liked about this movie is the setting. The Winchester mansion served as a really cool set piece, and I thought they did a great job with that. It just had a certain charm to it, and there was a lot they could have done with it. There was so much potential of using the Winchester mansion, but they clearly didn't utilize it to its fullest by just having doors slammed shut like Scooby-Doo. It's fucking dumb. The movie relies entirely on jump scares to scare you. 100%. There is one scene where there's 3 back-to-back-to-back-to-back jump scares. It was silly, but that was actually probably my favorite part of the movie. I actually would encourage a horror director that wants to make an over-reliance on jump scares to double down on it and make everything all about a jump scare. This movie was super close. It ticked all the boxes on jump scares, how to do them, what to do with them. Every time you expected a jump scare to be there, there was a jump scare there. Every jump scare you've ever seen in a horror movie was likely replicated in this movie, but they started to drift away from that in the second act and try to make it a more story-driven or message-driven piece, and it just really fell apart. And it ends with a fucking shootout with a ghost. So I'm not trying to spoil this movie for all enthusiasts out there excited to see Winchester, all 4 of you. But towards the end of the movie, the main character gets in a literal shootout with a ghost. It was very silly. Very, very silly. Like, that's some shit you'd see on some Saturday morning cartoons in the 90s. But that's how it ends. More complaints I have that I could pick apart this movie all night and day, but I'm not going to. Every problem that most people have with modern horror movies is in this movie. They don't do anything well other than have a cool setting. The acting, I will say, that was pretty decent across the board. They really sold their shitty characters, which is impressive. But there's just nothing here. There's no real mystery. There's just no real substance. It's a boring horror movie, which is surprising because everything was supposed to be about jump scares, and they still somehow made that boring. At no point was anyone on the edge of their seat. I went to this movie on opening night, and there was only about 8 other people in the theater, so no one really cares about this movie, but I'm still going to moist meter it anyway because it was a bad movie, and I think people should at least be aware. Would I say it's a so bad it's good movie? Almost. It really teeters on that edge of being so bad it's good, but I don't know if it quite reaches that threshold. Let's just jump into the fucking conclusion here. There's just not a whole lot for me to pick up. Well, I mean, there's a lot for me to pick apart, but there's not a whole lot I want to pick apart because there's just no point to doing it. Just looking at a trailer, I think you can get a sense for how bad the movie will be. So I'm going to give this movie 15%. It's just not good on any conceivable level. The only thing good about it is, I guess, the acting and really just the setting. But it's more disappointing that they had such a great setting because of how bad the movie turned out. So that's it. Yeah. See ya.
Initiating moisture protocol.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. I saw Truth or Dare a couple days ago, and I've been debating with myself whether or not to even give a score to this pile of shit. Do I bring the Moist Meter down low enough to even give this movie a percentage on the Moist Meter? It'd be a blemish on the perfect, pristine reputation of the Moist Meter. If the Moist Meter is a diamond ring, Truth or Dare is a pile of dog shit that's been run over by a lawnmower. But today I decided, you know what? People need to know. So let's go ahead and begin. The movie's... It's bad. It's a real stinker. It's a real stinky duty. It's just not good. So the plot is as follows. Some college kids go to Mexico for spring break, and after partying at a bar, they meet a stranger who invites them to hike 5 miles up to an abandoned church to party, and they play a game of Truth or Dare, and the game gets possessed by a demon, and then they keep playing. The demon makes them play Truth or Dare outside of the church, and it's life or death. It'll kill them if they don't do the dare and if they don't tell the truth. And the dare could also just kill them as well. That's the premise. I know there's not a single fucking person on this earth that would watch the trailer or hear it from start to finish. There's just nothing redeeming about this movie. There's really not. Let's go ahead and pop this shit into the Moist Meter. I'm giving it a 15%. I think that's about what it deserves. I think it's even a little on the high side. But I'm going to give it a 15% because at points it is a so bad it's good movie. There's points here where they treat the audience like they're genuinely fucking stupid and don't understand how the world works, where they say, oh, we need to find this guy who understands the curse. Can we Google him? Oh, I found his Facebook. Let's message him on Facebook. That'll work. And it does work. Yeah, the movie fucking sucks. Really, by all possible measurements, it's just a bad movie. It's like NCIS wrote a horror movie, kinda, at least in terms of technology here. It's just fucking shitty. That's it. So yeah.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Let's talk about Unfriended Dark Web. It's shit. It's real fucking shitty. I don't think anyone expected it to be good, but I don't think anyone expected it to be this shitty. Somehow the first Unfriended is better than this one. There's nothing scary about this movie. It doesn't even try. It doesn't even go for cheap scares like blood or jump scares. There's nothing. Nothing here to make it a horror movie or even a thriller movie in that regard. The scariest thing about this movie is the fact that they're using Skype. There's nothing here, unless you're afraid of static. And I don't think there's a lot of people out there that go to bed wetting themselves thinking about static. So I don't think there's going to be many people walking out of this theater scared. The only compliment I can give this movie is I like the concept. I like the concept of making the dark web the focal point of the horror or the thrill. Nobody. Absolutely. I'm sure the dark web people had someone that could have killed them on the space station too, because apparently they have agents everywhere in the fucking universe. It's dumb. Fuck, it's dumb. Shit, it's really dumb. Let's plug it into the Moist Meter. I'm giving it a 20% because I like the concept, and there was one cool death with the police being used as the executioners. That's it. Unfriended Dark Web, it's not good. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Let's talk about The Nun, which is the newest entry into the Conjuring cinematic universe, spectacle, whatever the fuck bullshittery they're trying to pull there, kind of like Marvel. In theory, I like the idea of a horror franchise all having interconnecting plots leading to a bigger overall showdown like the Avengers stuff. However, since the Conjuring movies aren't that great, it's very underwhelming. It'd be like as if the Emoji movie spawned a cinematic universe type deal too. It's just pretty fucking shitty, and The Nun is no exception, except The Nun is by far the worst of the entire franchise. I mean, I don't even know where to start. It seems like every single horror movie recently has been filmed by the same guy who just keeps reusing the same shots and the same scares. It's like the director of The Nun was just copying the homework of every other horror movie director that is also as bad as he is, and didn't change any of the work really. He just put his own spin on it with the bad things being nuns. It's so underwhelming. This is less of a horror movie and more of like a zombie monster movie. It's really light on anything you can consider scary, and very heavy on here's some monsters and a really shit plot. There's a scene in here where there's a guy summoning a demon, and it looks straight out of a video game, and the plot is he was summoning something evil, and then the knights came in and stopped the evil summoning using the holy hand grenade blood of Christ, banished him back to hell. That's an actual plot point in this movie. It's so fucking dumb. It's awful. The movie's laughable. It's not a good horror movie at all. It's not even a good movie at all. It's as generic as it could possibly be, but not even it's just like aggressively, like grab at their face and their neck, fiddle his dick or something off to the side so then they have a chance to do something. Also, the priest in this movie, who's supposed to be like this elite Vatican operative to banish demons like a motherfucker, like the Jason Bourne of demon banishing, he does nothing. He's just a perpetual damsel in distress who contributes nothing to the movie. So I'm not even going to bother trying to fish for those because they're nitpicky compliments, like a couple things I liked in terms of this setting. But let's just go ahead and plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving The Nun 25%. It's, it's a shit-ass horror movie. As generic as they get. I actually thought some of the other entries into the Conjuring universe weren't that bad. Especially the first Conjuring. I like the first Conjuring a lot. And Annabelle Creation I thought was strong too. But overall, it's just a really weak franchise. And this is by far the weakest one they've thrown into the melting pot of shitty horror here. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Modern horror movies suck shit, but they're always entertaining to watch in my opinion. Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're looking at The Prodigy, the latest modern horror movie. This one's actually not nearly as bad as most of the other big ones. This movie is two movies, in my opinion. There's a good horror movie, which is the first half of the movie, and then there's a generic shit show horror movie, which is the second half of the movie. The premise is super interesting. A boy gets an unwanted reincarnated visitor inside his mind, and then he has to battle to control the body. And the parents have to decide whether or not that's their son or a serial killer that's inhabiting his body. It's a really interesting premise. I really enjoy the premise, and I really like the first half of this movie. It does a great job of building some tension. It pulls no punches. It gets creepy. It seems very mean-spirited. And then the second half is, wow. Look at everything we took from every other horror movie of the last 20 years that you guys don't like. You guys aren't happy about that? What do you mean? The movie fucking sucks in the second half. I'm just going to get that out of the way. But in the first half, it uses some genuinely creepy moments, some good tension-building moments. It's really... if this movie just had the same intensity in the same direction as the first half, this would be a pretty goddamn good horror movie on par with Hereditary, in my opinion. The creepy child horror movie thing is nothing new. But the premise of having it be a reincarnated serial killer, like an actual human soul instead of a evil shit all over in the second half. One thing I want to commend, though, is the jump scares in the first half of the movie, and I don't care for jump scares, I don't think anyone does. They're good. This one, it's not. It goes in a completely different direction. The first one was more about a self-aware pseudo-horror slasher movie that was just kind of emotional and fun. This one is entirely nothing to do with anything horror or slasher related and is more about science romantic comedy. And that's a huge step down in my opinion, but it's not like they do a bad job with it. In fact, Jessica Rothe really fucking carries this movie. She's absolutely fantastic here. She sells so well the emotional moments in this movie as well as just the fun. I really enjoyed her character. I think she does a great job. So it doesn't miss. It does the comedy well, it does the emotion well, albeit for a few, cringy shit show steps here. But overall, they do a pretty decent herself. But like I said, Jessica Rothe carries the shit out of this movie. It is a really decent movie entirely because of Jessica Rothe. I wouldn't consider this a bad movie. I wouldn't. It does romance, it does comedy well, but it just is a lot worse than the first one. And there's a ton of plot holes here that I don't think anyone's going to really care about going into a movie like this. But if you've seen the first one and you like the first one, I can't imagine you'll like the direction it takes here. But anyway, let's plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving Happy Death Day to You a 50%. It's a fun little rom-com for Valentine's Day, I guess. If you're trying to get a little over-the-pants hand job in the movie theater, I guess it could serve that purpose. But otherwise, if you're a fan of the first one, you're not going to walk away from this one as excited or happy about seeing this. And that's a shame because I thought the first one was creative. This one's just, I don't know, it's kind of just a misguided. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
The curse of La Llorona suffers from its own curse, the curse of shitty horror movies that still get pumped out. This shit's super generic, super cliche, except the writing is even worse than modern horror movie standards. You know how people complain about dumb decisions and nonsensical shit the characters do in horror movies? This amplifies that to like level 100. This shit is the final boss of bad horror movie character decisions and writing. The movie's not good, and surprisingly to me, it takes place in the Conjuring universe, which has become a universe of pure mediocrity. So this fits right at home in there, definitely towards the bottom even of that shit ladder. But other than that, the only thing I can say about this movie that's almost a positive is there's a couple of scenes in here that do a good job of building tension up to a jump scare. And I also respect that it's unapologetic in how lame of a horror movie it is by only using jump scares for its horror. The movie has more jump scares than any horror movie I've ever seen, and to a certain degree I respect that shamelessness. You know, sometimes horror movies try to make an actual scary movie with shit that doesn't need jump scares, try and build tension properly, or try and, build a world that's scary. This director says, suck my fucking asshole, I'm just gonna use jump scares, and that's what he does. And sometimes the jump scares weren't bad. I mean, all jump scares are pretty much the same, it's just a loud noise, but they weren't like horrible. There's so fucking many of them, a couple of them are gonna land. That's about the only thing that I can even kind of give as a positive, but most people don't even like jump scares in horror movies because it's so tired and overused. Speaking of overused, this movie does that whole flying around thing when they're getting possessed. That makes the theater laugh every time. I don't know why horror movies still have a character flying off screen, getting yanked off screen. It's goofy to look at. It looks like some Scooby-Doo shit. Hereditary did it too. I'll give you an example of why I think the writing's so shitty and why I think the character decisions make even less sense than most horror movies. That for some reason when La Llorona... So why the fuck wouldn't you say a stranger's grabbing you trying to diddle your cock or something? It makes no sense, and I absolutely hate that cliche. They bring in Tuco from Breaking Bad as the super villain annihilator, the Avengers of religion. So he comes and he gets rid of La Llorona for them by stabbing her with the cross. Spoiler alert. I mean, the Conjuring series, the universe, always has the exact same ending where they confront the demon in a 1v1 sniper battle on Rust, and then they end it by doing either some type of stabbing with the crucifix or saying the demon's name. It's dumb every time. And this one's still dumb. It's a shitty movie, bad horror movie. Let's plug this shit into the moist meter. The Curse of La Llorona gets a 15%. Yeah, that's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're looking at Brightburn. That's the evil Superman movie. I fucking love that concept. An evil Superman movie that's R-rated and ultra-violent and gory. And this movie really delivers on that front. This movie does not pull any punches. It's about child Superman becoming evil and just murdering anyone at all. Just becoming this cartoonishly evil character using his incredible godlike powers to just annihilate human beings. And when I say annihilate, I mean that in the most literal definition of that word. This kid does not hold back. There's a fucking scene where he causes a man to explode as if he just swallowed 10 drums of gasoline and then stuck a match up his asshole. It's just this huge, bloody, gory explosion, skin, guts, intestines flying all over the place. And there's just so many of these, like, unnerving, gory moments. Gore, I think, is sometimes just overused as a crutch for a horror movie where it's just supposed to be, like, the shock. You know, there's always, like, the eye scene, and this is guilty of that trope as well. But in this movie, there actually is some unique plays with gore and showing you really gross things. And I didn't expect that because the lead is a kid. It's child Superman, but evil child Superman. His costume makes him look like Quail Man from Doug. It's a goofy costume, but it works pretty well. My biggest complaint about the movie is that the horror aspects of it don't really work. Its jump scares are predictable, not effective, and it doesn't build tension very well. The movie's at its best when it's just showing this kid toying with his victims and then killing them. The story isn't that great either. There's not a whole lot of depth to any of the characters except for the parents. The parents do a great job. I think they were strong characters, but the kid has really no development or anything at all. He's just a very two-dimensional character. One second he's a normal kid who, just standard human being, and the next second he's an evil superpowered guy because he had a dream where he was super powerful and now he wants to take over the world. And there's really no development, there's no conflict, there's never a battle within himself like, hey, I used to be a kid that loved his parents, now I'm evil, maybe I should think about this. There's never any of that until the end of the movie. Has a moment of self-reflection, but it's kind of shitty and ham-fisted because throughout the entire movie, they showed none of that. He didn't do anything that even resembled doing something good. It was all just the most evil path he could have taken. So I think it was a little silly to try and all of a sudden at the end reel it back and make it seem like, hey, he's still just a kid trying to figure himself out. No, you've established he is just straight evil in all possible ways. You made that really fucking clear when he started murdering people who gave him a Jolly Rancher flavor he didn't care for. The kid just kills anyone and everyone for no reason at all. There's like a fucking phase montage of him just causing devastation across the world for no reason. Collapsing entire shopping centers because they were sold out of Yu-Gi-Oh packs. He just kills everyone and anyone. There was never a moment throughout this movie where he struggled with what's good and what's evil. He committed to just being evil. So I thought it was silly that at the end they'd try and make it like, oh, maybe he's good. Because it just didn't work at all. And that's not a huge complaint because I don't think this movie really relies so much on its story or its narrative. It relies on its concept and its execution in showing you just how devastating it could be if Superman was a bad guy. And I think it's a really fun thing they explored, and I'm excited to see more from Brightburn universe if there is more. It'd be really nice. So let's plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving Brightburn a 70%. I wish the narrative was better. I wish it told a better story. However, I think it did just enough. It gave you the premise and it showed you a lot of cool shit about him becoming the ultimate evil. And it was really a refreshing spin on superheroes. It was a really disturbing look at it, and I really appreciated the risk they took. And I enjoyed it for the most part. I really think they missed the mark with their horror elements. It was just really generic in that regard, but everything else it did well. A lot of things will definitely catch people off guard in terms of its gore and how the kid does his shit. It's just a very interesting movie that was executed well. I have a lot of respect for this. It was a good movie. That's it. So yeah.
Initiating moisture.
Yeah, Ma's not a good horror movie. I don't even know if it's supposed to be a horror movie. It's more of like a character-focused drama movie, which it also fails at executing well. And the only good part about this movie is Octavia Spencer. I think she does a really good job with her character, even though her character is not even that good. It just seems like she gave a lot of effort for the character, and it shows. There's some good scenes from her, but the movie's some straight stinky asshole. I thought this would be a so bad it's good kind of horror movie. I wasn't expecting much. But it's just a so bad it's boring horror movie, or whatever kind of movie it wants to be. I still don't really know. It's like high school drama meets a little bit of attempt at horror at the end, maybe kind of. Like that was kind of a little bit of an idea they had. It just doesn't work in any level. The writing is horrible. The kids' dialogue, like the high school kids' dialogue is nuts how bad it is. It's impressive how bad it is, if I'm being honest with you. It's like an old man went on Twitter and just searched lit in the search bar and then just took all of the slang and all the lines he could find under that in Twitter and put it as the dialogue for the characters here. It just doesn't work. It feels wrong. I know I'm getting kind of old now, but there's no way people talk like this or make these kind of decisions. It's nonsensical at points. For example, they're partying at Ma's. That's not a spoiler. You see it in the trailer. That's the entire point of the movie. I'm not spoiling shit. Don't you get on me. Put that limp dick back in your pants. Not spoiling it. And now, spoiler warning, this will be a spoiler to demonstrate just how dumb the characters are. Probably the dumbest I've seen in a horror movie or whatever, in a fucking general movie in a long time. This is a spoiler. But if you're going to Ma for a plot or anything at all, you're definitely going for the wrong reasons and should probably save your money. I'm doing you a favor. Ma pulls a gun on one of the kids that goes to their house. The first time they're going to her house, she pulls a gun on him and tells him to get naked. He does. And then she laughs. And when I say the audience is laughing half the time, I don't mean at the comedy in the movie. There is comedy in the movie, and it's not bad. Sometimes the comedy's pretty damn good. But I mean during the parts where it's supposed to be, you know, a bit disturbing or a bit spooky and scary and maybe even a little unnerving. That's when people were laughing the hardest. Because it's the most cliche generic attempts possible, that you almost have to feel like it was made ironically by the directors. But it's not, because the rest of the movie makes it clear that there's really no self-awareness with just how bad of a horror movie this is. It just doesn't work anywhere. As a teen drama, it doesn't work because it's supposed to be like, oh, new kid's gonna get picked on and stuff. Nope, new kid's already the most popular kid in school, and now she's drinking and partying. Okay? The drama is she likes a boy, but you know what happens? The boy also likes her immediately, so there's never any drama there. The only character that has any depth or any fleshed out anything is Octavia Spencer's character. And that's it. That would have been more enjoyable than the first hour. It's just not a good movie. Plugging this shit into the moist meter, I'm giving Ma a 20%, and the only reason is because I really was pretty blown away by what Octavia was able to do with such a shitty script. Hats off. If you're watching this, Octavia, you fucking killed it. To the actors and actresses that were in this movie, I'm sorry you got such a fucking bad script. As a concept, this movie's great. It's executed really poorly. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Seeing Midsommar was a genuine waste of time, and it actually sucks saying that because Hereditary is what I consider one of the best horror movies of the last decade, and this is a movie from the same visionary that brought us that. But Midsommar is just a fucking stinker. From start to finish, it's just bad. The best parts of this movie are the cinematography, which is absolutely spectacular. The cinematography is superb, and the acting. All of the characters are really well portrayed, and I actually cared about the majority of the cast. Those are the only two good things about this movie. Everything else just doesn't land. It tries to tackle themes of like grief and relationships. However, in terms of grief, the grief portion happens in the first 20 minutes and then is forgotten immediately. It's not really woven throughout the plot, at least not effectively. It just really misses on all of the themes it goes for, and that's not even that big of a deal in the grand scheme of this movie in terms of its problems, because everything else fucking sucks too about it. The movie is it's around 2.5 hours, and I'd say at least an hour and a half of that runtime is spent either sitting down, standing still, or walking in slow motion. That is the majority of every single scene in this movie. It is unbearably slow, and I'm fine with slow movies. I love the tension building shit, but in this movie, the majority of the scenes are awkwardly sitting around a table waiting for someone to eat. So you have all these characters just sitting there looking at each other, looking back and forth, or looking blankly, and as an audience member, it's there to try and build tension, like, oh, what's gonna happen? When's the tension gonna break? What's gonna happen? And then nothing happens. That's the big surprise. Nothing happens. That's the payoff. It just fucking dragged out. And this movie's marketed as a horror movie, and that's a criminal offense. This is not a horror movie, nor does it want to be in any part. When it tries to do something that even looks like it's inspired by horror, it's done off-screen. Everything that could even be misconstrued as an attempt to unnerve you or be disturbing is done off-camera. What this movie does do, and I'm going to give away this scene, I hope it's not going to be considered a spoiler. What this movie does do is make you laugh at how bad its attempts at unnerving you are. The last 30 minutes, maybe even 40 minutes, no exaggeration, were spent in tears of laughter from my audience at the movie theater. I was laughing pretty fucking hard too. Let me paint the scene for you, a scene from the last 30 or 40 minutes. There's two people having sex. In front of them, standing around them in like a fucking football huddle going over plays, are naked women chanting. It's an a cappella of sex as two people fuck on the floor. And as they're having sex, the a cappella turns from singing and chanting into an up-close and personal singing into the man's face as he's fucking the girl. Once that's over, they then begin moaning in different harmonies, a moaning a cappella. When that's done, one of the women starts pushing his ass cheeks so he gets deeper in the girl's vagina. And this scene goes on for, no joke, at least 10 minutes of uninterrupted just goofiness. And I believe it's there to make it like an unnerving thing, like, oh man, this is the big payoff. This is the crazy shit that's going on. Look how crazy this cult is, how disturbing. But what actually happens is just a really comedic 10 minutes that you're gonna spend either smiling or just feeling really embarrassed. I felt fucking embarrassed watching this movie a lot of the time. And the second that scene's over, it goes into another goofy scene where the dude's running around naked with his penis flopping everywhere like the pendulum in a grandfather clock, and then he runs into a barn and sees something spooky. And then, it goes from there, just stays bad. The whole movie just doesn't land. Nothing in this movie works at all. The cult shit, I love the concept, and I like what the movie, I think I understand what the movie wanted to accomplish, but it doesn't even come close. You get like this pseudo-comedy, boring piece of shit that in no aspects succeeds in where it needed to or wanted to. Another thing I can compliment though is the sound. I really appreciated the sound when it wasn't just moaning. I appreciated that. That worked pretty well. But again, there's just not very many positives I can give to this movie. It is so boring. Everything drags so long. You're waiting for something, anything at all, even remotely interesting to happen, and it never does. But then you get like 30 or 40 minutes of goofs and giggles, so I guess that's something. But man, it's just not good. It's not even like a deep movie either. There's really, like, all of the metaphors and symbolism it wants to hit pretty much hit you over the head with it. There's nothing too, deep about it that you could pick apart and really digest and come up with your own fan theories, because you're gonna pretty much get it, I think, for the most part, as a general audience member. It's not really a thinker, it's just a straight fucking stinker. It's just not a good movie, and I'm so disappointed, which is why I'm ripping into it kind of hard, because Hereditary was fantastic. It was a great movie until the last 10 minutes where I felt it kind of fell flat. But really, as a whole, the movie was fantastic, and I think it's a little unfair to compare works, even if it's from the same visionary. But in this case, I can't help but draw the comparisons, because it has a lot of the same fun cinematography Hereditary had. It had a lot of the great performances that you got in Hereditary, and it just doesn't even come close to even being in the same ballpark as that movie. It's just bad. Bafflingly bad. Like, even like if you can pick out plot holes too. Like, the narrative doesn't work. Like, a traumatic thing happens to the main character in the beginning, and then that's the end of it. Completely forgets that ever happens. At no point is it ever really brought up throughout the rest of the movie. Like, it's just so much wrong with this movie. I wouldn't recommend it at all. It's a genuine waste of time. Plugging this shit into the moist meter, I'm giving Midsommar a 25%. I like the creative cinematography. I like that it's not just standard, boring shots. It's framed beautifully. I also really enjoyed the characters, the performances from the actors. Those were second to none. And the sound department kind of killed it as well. But the movie as a whole piece, a whole product, is just not good. It's like offensively not good if you're a fan of Hereditary. And that's unfortunate, but that's what it is. Not really worth seeing. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at the new Halloween movie, Halloween Kills. I wasn't even going to moist meter this movie initially, because by the time I finished it, I had already began forgetting some of it. It was just a really underwhelming movie. But I decided that it was probably worth talking about because I find it so underwhelming. Let me just start with the good things here. Best things about this movie are just when they're doing mindless killing. Like, they very much seem self-aware of how goofy and over the top their shit is, that it becomes enjoyable. I can really appreciate a bad good movie, and I really think a lot of times this leans hard into bad good. For example, there's a character that comes at Michael Myers with a pistol, and they do that same cliche shit they do in every action movie, where someone with a gun for some reason tries to shove it up their fucking butthole and shoot them instead of just like stand back a little bit and start shooting. So they go up in like fucking slapping range there with their pistol, and Michael Myers just kicks a car door at them. It hits the gun and they shoot themselves in the fucking face and blow out their brains. Like, it's really goofy. And there's a part where someone's trying to strangle Michael Myers with a Halloween plastic stethoscope, like an Easy Bake Oven stethoscope thing, like that kind of children's toy, and then he gets stabbed in the eye. Like, it's very goofy, and that's when it's at its best. But it also tries to deliver a message and utterly fails. So it tries to bring home this idea like mob mentality is bad, but it's shit at doing that. So really, to me, the only redeeming thing about Halloween Kills is when Michael Myers is just mindlessly killing people for no reason all the time. The majority of the movie is spent with those kills. So if that's what you care about, like just a bunch of fucking gore and violence and shit, you will be very happy with this movie, I imagine. And I found it to be enjoyable, but I also think the movie as a whole is kind of stinky. So first off, I just want to say, Laurie Strode, who's probably the most important person in Halloween, and extremely important in the last Halloween movie that this one directly follows, does fucking nothing in this movie. Quite literally, she does nothing. She just lays in a hospital bed, talking about how much pain she's in. I mean, yeah, she got stabbed and everything, so obviously she's going to be in pain, but she does fucking nothing. At all. The closest thing she comes to contributing anything to this movie is she knees a random extra in the stomach. Like, there's a doctor running by and Laurie just grabs him and knees him. And then she's like, ow, my stab wound open, this was a bad idea, and starts rolling around on the floor screaming. That's like it. And then she gives a monologue about fear. And that's all she does. So I think it's really stupid that they would sideline the most important character here and instead follow the dumbest characters so far. So, like I said, the message is mob mentality's bad. And you could basically sum up the majority of this movie outside of the killing as just a town of actual imbeciles, just actual fucking idiots. So, there's one guy in particular who starts the fucking catchphrase, "Evil dies tonight." And you will hear that a million times in the second half of this movie. Evil dies tonight. It's basically the town is tired of Michael Myers killing people, so they're gonna do something about it. They're gonna kill Michael Myers. Evil dies tonight. And they just keep shouting that. Eventually, innocent people start getting hurt, and chaos erupts. And I want to say right away, like, yeah, it's a great idea. You know, get the townspeople, get the vigilantes out there to take them down. Why not? You know, at least try and fight them. But no one really arms themselves with anything that makes sense. Like, the main guy has a baseball bat, like, okay, that's kind of logical. And then someone else gets, like, a pillowcase of bricks. Someone else just uses, like, brass knuckles, like, okay, yeah, you're gonna fight it with brass knuckles? Someone else, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought a hula hoop to the mob justice scene. Like, they just start bringing goofy items to fight Michael Myers with. Even though they were, like, planning to kill him for a long time, they could have, like, prepared, like, find like maybe just a brick that you could start throwing at him. Like, that'd be better than just bringing like brass knuckles and shit. And it's really dumb. And the main guy that you follow here is Tommy, and the way he recruits people into this is really silly. Like, there's a scene where he just drives up to a gas station and just starts talking to strangers. He's like, "Hey guys, you want to murder someone tonight?" And they're super down. They're like, "Yeah, who the fuck are we killing? You know, let's fucking ride." Like, "Yeah, we're killing Michael Myers." Like, "Oh, goddamn, yeah, let's go kill Michael Myers. I've had enough. You know, that tomfoolery, I'm tired of it. Let's get rid of Michael Myers." It's like everyone in this town is super ready to just kill somebody. They just needed an excuse and a target. It's so weird to me. Like, they don't do a good job of building their message that mob mentality is bad. And maybe Michael Myers isn't just a really scary guy. He represents a very scary thing, which is fear itself. They do a horrible fucking job with it. So I really think everything aside from just Michael Myers killing people is really poorly done. And I really don't think it's great. Like, it's not like he's doing anything creative. He's just randomly stabbing people all the time. Like, there's no real tension that builds in this movie. It's just, oh my god, Michael Myers is hanging out at the dumpster, and now he's stabbing that woman. You know, it's not like there's any kind of like, oh my god, I'm on the edge of my seat, where the fuck is Michael, what's about to happen? Like, you basically see him the whole time as he slowly walks and stabs somebody. It doesn't really get very creative, and it doesn't even really try. It's just, he just starts stabbing someone. Like, even when he kills someone, he'll just keep stabbing them. So he'll take a couple, like, you know, he's in someone's house and he's just killed this old man, and then he just grabs a couple more knives and starts just putting them in his body. And then that's it. Like, it's goofy, and that's enjoyable to me, but I really think it's just poorly done. And they really try and go hard on gore, but they don't do that well either. It's like everyone here is just a balloon of meat waiting to pop. Like, there's a guy who jumps from a building, and when he hits the ground, it looks like he fell into a jet turbine. He's just like fucking minced meat all over the place. And that's basically all of the kills here. They just explode into guts. Like, off of anything. If he's strangling someone, they just fucking explode. So it's not exactly like the most riveting action and gore. It's just kind of like, hey, here's a lot of gore. And like I said, I enjoyed it, but I also don't think like it's super well done either. And I feel like this movie has no payoff at all. Like, it is so desperate to be unpredictable that it becomes, I guess unpredictable is the wrong word. I'm not trying to spoil anything, but this movie has no payoff. You go on this adventure and you get nothing out of it except for like some goofy kills and some silly moments. But I don't really think you walk away like overly impressed with the movie either. I liked 2018's Halloween movie. I had a good time with that one. I thought that did some like fun stuff. And I don't think it's a perfect movie or anything like that. And I still think the original Halloweens are better. But this one I just feels not great. Like, it's really not. It's a pretty underwhelming movie with really stupid characters. And so let's just plug this into the moist meter. I'm giving Halloween Kills a 40%. I've been pretty harsh on the movie, but like I said, overall I did enjoy it because most of it is spent with Michael Myers just going on a killing spree, and I think Michael Myers is a cool character. I don't think he's as cool in this movie as he has been in other ones, and I think they actually do a disservice to the Michael Myers character by the end of it. But I still did enjoy watching Michael Myers be menacing, and like the things that he does along the way were entertaining. So overall, I wasn't like completely like this was a waste of my time, but I also wasn't super happy that I spent an hour 45 watching it either. So yeah, that's about it. So yeah. I haven't showered yet, I'm sure you can tell. I gotta keep that Fazbear grease on me. So I saw Five Nights at Freddy's the second that it released in theaters. I wanted to make sure I was planted, swamp ass in seat, ready to be blown away. I'll be fully transparent here. I went into this film without the highest of expectations. I expected perhaps a fun, bad movie. Not necessarily because I think the property's weak or anything. It's just video game adaptations don't normally land. They're usually pretty stinky. But I was hoping, maybe I'd be pleasantly surprised. And to a certain extent, I was. This is going to be an extremely hard moist meter to do without spoilers, because a lot of what I want to talk about is very spoiler heavy. So I'll go ahead and get this out of the way as well. I'm not the biggest Five Nights at Freddy's fan. I've played a handful of the games. Mainly, I speedrun Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. That's like my, big venture into the franchise. I know enough about the lore to understand what was going to be going on here, as well as like the references and the characters and everything. And when I saw the film as flopping with critics, I kind of understood why, because it is a pretty deep, rich lore that I feel one movie isn't going to be able to do justice to get people brought into it. And so I kind of went in here expecting that this will be a movie Five Nights at Freddy's fans are going to love, and anyone who's not already a fan of the property is going to hate. And now that I've seen it, I think that's probably pretty accurate. So let's go ahead and dive into the old Fazbear pizza here. So, what I really liked about the film is the main character. I actually think Josh Hutcherson is the best part of this film. He also happens to be a fellow Hunger Games co-star of mine. Josh and I go way back on the set of the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. Some might say I taught him everything he knows about acting, but I'm not here to toot my own horn. Point is, he is the best part of this movie. He plays a troubled man who watched his brother get kidnapped in front of him while he was a young boy, and he is still haunted by that memory to this day, all these years later. Every single night, he goes to bed to go to that point in time in his mind. He dreams that moment every single night because he believes somewhere deep in his psyche, he saw the person that kidnapped his brother and he wants to catch him. So he goes there, tries to get more clues to try and catch the person responsible for kidnapping his brother so many years ago. It's a really interesting concept, and it plays into the overarching plot pretty well. I would have liked it to have more of a role in how things pan out towards the end, but I'm still very satisfied with what they did with that. I think it's a really cool concept. Aside from that, everything plays out exactly how you expect it to if you're familiar with the games. Mike, the main character, gets a job as a security guard at Freddy Fazbear's place. It's actually kind of goofy how he gets there. He was a security guard at a mall beforehand, and then he saw someone that he believed was kidnapping a child, and he just beats the fucking daylights out of him in a fountain. Like, he tackles him into, like, a fountain and just gives him knuckle sandwiches out the ass. He was feeding him more knuckle sandwich than Freddy Fazbear fed kids pizza. Like, this guy was going crazy on him, so Mike brutalizes the guy, which is never really touched on again, even though I feel like he would have been locked behind bars after that incident. It was a big misunderstanding. He wasn't actually kidnapping the kid, it was his dad. And then after that, he gets the job as the security guard. Now, the movie is absolutely at its best when it's at least trying to be a horror film. This is by far my biggest critique of it. There's only a handful of scenes that even attempt to do anything unnerving or tense or scary. Now, it's important to mention that if you're familiar with their games, then you know the backbone of the scares of Five Nights at Freddy's is jump scares. Would you believe me if I told you that there's almost no jump scares in this movie? I think there's only 2. I think there's 2 jump scares in the entire runtime of this film, which blew me away because I thought this would be like a completely unapologetic jump scare, like bonanza. But it wasn't. And for the first time in history, I swear on a stack of Bibles, it actually was a detriment to not rely on jump scares because that's what built the franchise in the first place. So I really think this is like one of the few movies that really could have benefited from having more of them. Now, ordinarily, I think that's extremely cheap for your scares, because usually I'd prefer if you'd try and actually build tension, be unnerving and all of that. And since they weren't using jump scares, they did try that, but it doesn't really work super well most of the time. So let me give you an example. A scene where a character's hiding in a closet and a light's flickering behind them. You can see an animatronic fucking rabbit giving it like some psychopath eyes, giving it the stink eye. And it becomes less tense and more silly. Because at its core, looking at animatronic animals being evil is a silly, wacky concept. So the tension building doesn't really work in the film. So I think this really would have benefited from just, playing it safe with jump scares. I think that would have been a little more effective. But even if it's not the best when it comes to frightening the audience, I still think it's at its best when it's at least trying to. And when it's doing that, it's very fun to watch. Like, the animatronics look amazing in this movie. The animatronics look spectacular. Like, I think they did a great job with Freddy and the gang. I really do. And there's a scene in particular where some rapscallions, some less than savory individuals break into the establishment to try and destroy it, just ruin it, even though it's already fucking disgusting. But they go in there to cause a ruckus. And the animatronics fight back. And it actually gets kind of gruesome at one point. Like, I was actually surprised. It's a PG-13 movie, but there's actually a couple scenes of gore, which I think is good. Like, I think it added to it. This movie was never going to be R in any universe. That would be extremely stupid. Five Nights at Freddy's is a property that's enjoyed primarily by the younger demographic, and you can't have an R-rated movie that kids can go to. So it was always going to be PG-13, but I am shocked at some of the stuff they put in here during some of these kills. I'm happy about it. But when they're not doing that, they're basically treating this movie like it's Five Nights at Freddy's fanfic that they found on Tumblr, complete with some cameos that drop their famous lines here and there, as well as like an entire sequence dedicated to Freddy and the squad building forts with Mike and his sister Abby and a cop named Vanessa. It becomes like a summer camp thing for a little bit. Like, they treat half of this movie like it's a fucking episode of the Rugrats sometimes. Like, it just feels like it clashes with the tone of the horror of Five Nights at Freddy's. Perhaps it's because I haven't played every Five Nights at Freddy's game and I'm not super deep in the lore. Like, I'm not like a lore historian on it. But for the film, I feel like it would have done better if they leaned more in on the unnerving aspects of it, as opposed to kind of making it a 50-50 thing where 50% of it is kind of bubbly and sweet, and the other half is the more horror stuff. But again, maybe that's just not me maybe that's me not being knowledgeable enough on how the property plays out in the lore. But those were my least favorite parts. And especially because I think a lot of times the writing gets very, very silly. So in that scene I mentioned about the fort building, the cop, Vanessa, is like, best day ever! Like, she's having so much fun. She loves being at Fazbear's place. She's loving that Mike and his sister Abby are getting along really well with Freddy and Bonnie and Foxy. Like, they're having so much fun, and she couldn't be more happy. But then Mike and Vanessa go to a broom closet, and Abby plays the guitar and kind of like shocks herself, which of course, it's scary, and Mike freaks out and Vanessa freaks out, and then she immediately flips this switch where she's like, don't you ever come back here again, Mike. If I ever see Abby in this facility one more time, I'm going to shoot you. Like, she just directly threatens him, even though the cop Vanessa has been actively encouraging Mike and Abby to play with Freddy and the friends and like be part of the crew here and have fun. Then all of a sudden she's like, I'm gonna fucking shoot you if I catch you here again. Like, it just feels like there's scenes missing where it builds up to her like disdain for them being here, because like actually 30 seconds ago she had the biggest smile on her face, grinning ear to ear. So it just feels like maybe they knew where they needed to go but didn't know how to get there in a smooth manner. So sometimes it just fucking flips. And I think it's actually exclusive to the cop Vanessa, because her whole role in this film is kind of just to be the Five Nights at Freddy's wiki. She is basically just an exposition robot. She's not really so much a character in the film. She's more like a YouTuber who swoops in and wiggles their finger. Well, actually, Mike, did you know? And then goes into like this whole exposition, dump on what's going on. So, like, it's no problem with the actress or anything. I actually think she did a fantastic job on screen. It's just, she was written to kind of only be here to be a savior out of nowhere to keep people alive if things get a little too hairy, or inform the audience of the overarching lore that's taking place, or what's actually happening here. So it just feels odd. Like, I wish they had done more with her as opposed to just making her the Wikipedia page for Five Nights at Freddy's. She's not the only character that I feel is written kind of poorly. There's actually a couple that seem like they're only here to remind the audience that these animatronics can kill. So they're kind of there just to die and nothing else. But aside from that, I think what it focused on with Josh, I don't know, I'm calling him Josh. We may be Hunger Games, veterans, but we're not on a first name basis. Mike, the main character, and his sister Abby are really the focus of it, and everything that happens around them outside of what happens inside Freddy's place is kind of just very odd. Like, it starts to fall apart. I really want to talk more about this movie, but it is all spoilers. This is going to be a minor spoiler, but I just have to mention this because it is such a head scratcher of a plot idea. So, minor spoiler, just fair warning here. A big thing that drives Mike to take the job as a security guard at Freddy's place is he may lose custody of his sister because his evil aunt is trying to get the girl so that she can make money from the government off having that kid. Even though she seems to already be really financially well off, and it's not like the government's going to be paying her fucking millions of dollars for this, but regardless, I think that's already a bit of an interesting idea. The way she goes about it is she wants Mike to die. Like, she even contemplates having him killed. All so that way she can take custody of the daughter to make, like, a monthly paycheck off having the kid or something like that. It's a really weird motivation, and it's not even really important to the plot. It's really just there because it gave Mike a reason to grab that job as a security officer. But aside from that, it's just kind of dumb and gets sidelined pretty quickly. She herself is also not really a character in this film. She's just here to be like a cartoonishly evil presence that kind of, haunts the place, basically, where she's there and she's on screen to be hated, and that's it. I'll stop going into spoilers. There's a couple more things that I'd like to say, but that would be way too much in the spoiler territory. There are things I liked, there are things I didn't like. Overall, this is a film that I am confident most Five Nights at Freddy's fans are going to enjoy, and I'm also confident if you don't like Five Nights at Freddy's, this doesn't really have a whole lot for you to get you invested and make you a fan. Although I do think the concept with Mike and like going into the dream state to try and solve a kidnapping case is interesting enough that I think it might push people to at least check out Five Nights at Freddy's lore to some extent. And Five Nights at Freddy's lore is actually pretty fucking good. Like, it is pretty interesting. So maybe that will be what happens. I also mention this because a lot of you saw the video. There was also a fight that broke out at the premiere of Five Nights at Freddy's. This is the last movie I would expect people to be throwing hands at, but I wanted to mention that. They're calling it the Fight of 87, which is a reference to Five Nights at Freddy's with the Bite of 87, where for some reason a bunch of people just started brawling in the theater on opening day for this movie. So, just wanted to toss that out there. I did see the video. Very, very wild. Anyway, plugging Five Nights at Freddy's movie into the moist meter, I'm going to give it a 45%. I think it is not a bad film, per se. I think there are bad moments, and I think there are things that weren't executed as well as they could have, but I do find it to be enjoyable enough that it was worth watching. When I initially left the theater, I was a lot less enthusiastic about it than I am now, mainly because there is just like a period of it where it just kind of becomes a slog to get through, and it clashes with what I think the tone probably wanted to go for. But looking back on it, I really did enjoy it with my friends. Like, we were talking to each other a little bit back and forth, whispering, of course, because we're not trying to disrupt the theater, about, like, how it ties into Five Nights at Freddy's lore. And then also, like, there were a couple scenes where, like, all fucking five of us, all at once, when it happened on screen, went like this and then like that, because it was so nonsensically dumb what just unfolded. So it was a fun experience that I did enjoy, even though overall I don't think it's an amazing adaptation for the property. I think it's good enough that fans are going to be satisfied, but I don't think it's strong enough to stand on its own 2 feet where people that aren't already invested are going to get invested. I think they're going to maybe leave a bit disappointed. But anyway, that's really about it. See ya.